Hey, happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome to Taking It to the Nub, episode 33 of season one. 33 is a good number. I like that number. And tonight, we've got a very special guest. This man has been around cigars for a while. We're going to introduce in just a moment the North American Vice President of Sales for Stallone Nicaragua Cigars, Mr. Todd Vance. Let me bring Todd in. Brother, how are you?
Boston Jimmie, it's a pleasure to be here. How are you doing?
Hey, look at this. It's Halloween, man. So
Happy Halloween.
I'm in costume. Welcome to Boston, Jerry.
What did you, I'm about to say you went clearly as the Grateful Dead, didn't you?
Might as well.
I agree.
Hair's not going to go anywhere for a while, so might as well enjoy it.
It can turn gray or turn loose.
That's it. What are you smoking tonight?
The thing that you just gave a 96 to.
Ah, the Habano. That is a fabulous cigar.
It is my everyday cigar.
I can understand why. I'm actually reached into that sampler box and I pulled out the San Andreas.
The Castaño.
Uh-huh.
That is a delightful cigar. It has, I think you're truly going to like that cigar a lot.
Well, if I truly like the Habano, I don't know where we're going, man, because I might have set the bar for you.
That is my boss saw that review today. He went, man, that's a high bar. I'm like, I know. Where are we going to go from here? I hope only up.
I like Habanos, though, so that was a very well-constructed, pleasant, not in your face, super spicy Habano.
Guillermo Pena knows his craft, does he not?
He does. And we're going to get into some of that.
Excellent.
So you and I mean, we've known each other since the days of Cornelius and Anthony.
Yeah, going back to Lazona Palooza many years ago, right?
Lazona Palooza, and even before that at the shows in Vegas.
Correct.
In New Orleans, right?
Exactly.
And sadly, they closed their doors. Had nothing to do with you and the others. I guess the owner just wanted to move into other directions.
No, I'll tell you the story on that went really well. I mean, it was a great company. I enjoyed working for Stephen Bailey tremendously. There's not a greater gentleman in the business than Stephen Bailey. But the story quickly goes that I was in, this will be 3 years in May. And I'm in Nashville with one of my reps, David Palm, and we're out seeing customers. And I get a phone call from Stephen Bailey. And he says, Todd, I've got some news for you. And I'm just like, okay, what's the news? And he goes, I'm closing it down in 2 days. I'm like, whoa, man, do I have time to get home? He went, no worries. Take your time. Get home. No problems. And I said, what happened? And he said, we sold the company. And he was a cigarette company. So they sold the company and they sold it very, very well. So he'd been working for that day for 20 years. And once that happened, he said, brother, I'm going fishing the rest of my life. And I said, I hope you enjoy the rest of your life. And we've been nothing but friends ever since that day.
Wow.
So it was nothing that we were, I mean, our numbers were good. We had plenty of stores. We were doing well. It's just that family was ready to sell the cigarette side of the business and move out and move on with their lives.
They've been around. They were that cigarette side tobacco 100 years, right?
That is correct. 1866 they started. Did
you learn anything from them along the way?
No one can teach me anything. I don't know anything. I try not to. What you drinking, brother?
I'm drinking one of my other favorite red wines that I get in a shipment once in a while. It's a Dark Corner.
Ooh, that's a good thing for Halloween. It's like, Remember that you and I are probably about the same age, right? I think you're a few years older.
About 61.
Yeah, 57. So you remember Dark Shadows with Barnabas Collins and all that?
Absolutely.
So that's what that reminds me of.
Yep. No, this is a good Australian Shiraz. It goes well with the cigar. Goes well with the San Andreas because it's got a nice, rich, deep body. So a lot of flavors coming through. So,
well, I got to tell you, I discovered something last week when I was traveling in Louisiana, which sometimes you discover a lot of things traveling in Louisiana. But I discovered this drink called mead, which I have never had before in my life until last week, and discovered that this stuff is perfect with cigars. And this one I discovered is called Two Warriors Meadery in Monroe, Louisiana. And this one took 4th in the world. So cruise flight. Haas, if you're watching, I'm trying to help you, brother. This is great stuff. And you mix mead with anything.
Well, the beautiful thing
well.
about mead, a really good mead, is you can drink that a lot.
Yep.
And you might think you're going to have a wicked hangover because of the honey sweetness in it. But because of that honey sweetness, you don't. You wake up the next morning, you don't have any fog and, and any spider webs in your head. You just feel fine. It's like it's the Vikings. That's the Vikings drink. That's what they used to drink.
That's right. And they had to wake up and fight. So apparently they wouldn't do it hungover, did they?
Well, they might have drank and fought. I guess we'll never know the full story.
They were pissed off all the time. Pissed off.
Well, come on, man. I mean, they only had one. They only had a few good years of a football team, right?
Yeah, cold water and fleas all over you. That's not a good thing.
So Todd, you go from this really good company, and where did your travels then take you? So when you after Cornelius, and it was like you said, it was an abrupt ending.
It was.
You had to regroup yourself. How did that journey go? What did you?
So at that point, a friend of mine named Spencer Drake, who owns Hirochi Urbina Cigars, HR Cigars, we've had a relationship because we basically started on the same day, same year, 13 years ago, and we just became fast friends. He's in Houston, I'm in Dallas, and we've always wanted to work together. Well, he said, let's go do some stuff. So we did some stuff. That also, back in December a year ago, we had some investor issues, and at one point, I noticed that I was the most expensive thing on his books, and I said, brother, I'm not going to take away from your dream. This is your dream. I'm going to go find and do something else. And to this day, we're still very, very good friends. And at that point, I joined Padilla for about 2 months. And was going to go do some sales for Padilla because they wanted to get some more brick and mortar stores, and COVID killed that. Hard to go sell brick and mortars when no brick and mortars are open. And then we'll get into the story with Stallone Cigars. End of July, I'm sitting at home doing much of nothing, which everyone else is at the same time. And I get this phone call from Tony Barrios, who I'd never heard of before. And he said, I hear you're available. I said, yes. He said, would you like to help me run my company? And I said, why? And I said, let me ask you this question. I said, as I've asked everybody in the business, why in the hell do you want to do business in the United States? And his answer to the question was the best answer that I've ever heard. And it totally took me off guard. Most people have said, well, it's an homage to my family. We've had a history of doing this for years. His answer was, I think that your American marketplace is exceedingly overpriced, and I think I can help.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was something very different.
Wow.
And so he sent me samples. I smoked the samples just like you did, was thoroughly impressed. And 3 days later, he sent me the price list. And that blew me away. And that's when I knew he was serious about what he was talking about. My cigars start basically at $6.80, and the top end cigar that we sell is a U.S. Connecticut broadleaf Toro, and it's the highest price. That's the highest price that we sell is $10.25. So top shelf tobacco that you can't find in places anymore.
And these very cool sampler boxes, which have all 6, and this whole sampler pack, and there's one not in there because I smoked it and reviewed it, is $66.
Not bad.
Which is a phenomenal price. Okay, when you think about what you're getting in here, for all.
And typically, that's more expensive than our cigars are going to be because that box is an expensive little box to produce.
But it's a cool box.
It is a cool box. It's a nice little gift box. If you want to give somebody a really nice gift box for Thanksgiving or Christmas, tell them where they can get it, Jimmy.
I did. You can get it from Underground Cigar Shop and Lounge in Dallas, Fort Worth. They just reopened a brand new shop, and if you've never been there, have never checked them out, they are a go-to for me when it comes to boutique small batch cigars.
They are amazing over there. That's a beautiful new shop, and it is something to behold. It is now truly a destination.
Absolutely. Just Tony Barrios.
Tony Barrios.
So tell me, who is Tony Barrios? Obviously,
so
you've never heard of him before.
I had not.
Until I got these cigars and I saw the underground selling them, I'm like, all right, and I saw you were associated with it. I'm like, I guess I'll buy them and check them out. So who is Tony Barrios?
So Tony, here's my sucker. Whenever I hear this term, third generation tobacco farmer, I'm sucked in like a schoolgirl to a pop band, and he said, well, I'm a third generation tobacco farmer from Venezuela. He went to school, basically did some Harvard time up in Massachusetts. He's also a trained and I guess certified electrical engineer. And I said, and you grow tobacco? And he went, yeah, it's in the family. So he and his family have been growing tobacco in Venezuela and selling it. Most of what they sell, basically all of what they sell, goes to British American tobacco, and they sell it for European cigarettes. And 5 years ago, they started doing their own little cigars in South America. And that's Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina. And then they've kind of expanded into some of the other little European countries like Portugal, Spain, Italy. And so they have a small presence over there. And now their next step is to go nationwide across the US. And hence, here I am. And I like where I am.
So from my understanding and my research on Tony, whenever I hear of something new, I'm like a research engineer. I just kind of dig into stuff for like a week just to study it. And Tony Barrios also is a huge horse fan. So cigars and horses.
That's correct.
He got his first horse when he was like about 8 years old or something.
That's correct.
And it was a beast and he couldn't ride it.
Yep.
So have you experienced his horse riding?
we used to have 3 horses, my wife and I, my father-in-law. And I think thankfully we're down to one now, but yeah, I've experienced horses. Horses eat while you sleep. They cost you money while you're sleeping. That's what I learned about horses.
Don't they just eat the grass?
No, they eat other things besides. They eat oats, and oats are not free. And they love those oats. Oats are like crack to a horse. I didn't know that. But Tony, I think, has 22 or 23 horses.
Wow.
And they're not just horses, they're cutting horses. And, cutting horses is what separates the cow from the herd, so it can get branded. And Tony is a cutting horse champion, and he's done a lot of rodeos in the U.S., all the way from, the Fort Worth Stock Show to the Houston Rodeo to the NFR Finals in Las Vegas. He's done a lot of them. And that's where he's a true cowboy. So that's where our cigars come from. It's a love for his horses. They're all named after horses, by the way. And, Stallone means what?
Stallion in Italian.
In Italian, which we learned from Rocky. But I asked him, I said, you couldn't call this Equus? You couldn't have gone Latin on us and called it Equus instead of Stallone? Because Sylvester is not involved in any shape, manner, or form.
That's nothing to do with this. Frank has nothing to do with it.
Frank has nothing to do with it.
Does he say Stallone or Stallone?
Stallone.
So Stallone Nicaragua.
Correct.
Cigars, right? Which
is made at the factory of La Perla, which is owned by kind of a legendary man down there, Guillermo Pena.
Great guy.
Great guy.
He makes some cigars for some fabulous people I know, like Rodriguez Cigars in Key West. Those of you that have had Rodriguez cigars, that's a Guillermo Pena craft. Paul Stulak, right?
Correct.
Right? And Patrick Potter.
Yes.
We had him on the show earlier in the season, and Patrick's a great guy.
Yes, he is.
Great cigars. And you wonder why? They come from a great factory.
So here's kind of the kicker with the factory is, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but you've been to Nicaragua a couple times?
I've been to Nicaragua.
Okay. You ever walk into a factory and say, man, there are a lot of pretty girls here? You will not say that when you walk into Guillermo Pena's factory. I'm not trying to, but you have to have 10 years of experience to be a roller at La Perla. That's what they set their sights on, and that's what they get. And they get these people and they stay forever. So there's a lot of old rollers that have worked everywhere, but they work now for La Perla.
That's amazing. So he's picking up the best of the best,
That's right, and he keeps them.
and he keeps them and pays them well and gives
Yep.
them good benefits. And how's he handling the whole pandemic down there?
I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you the truth that there's a reason why there's a whole lot of people in the U.S. that can't get product. There's it's a worse problem down there than I think it is here, and there are a lot of factories that are working with half staff right now.
Mm,
It's problematic,
right.
and they don't have the access to healthcare that we have up here.
No, no, it's sad because we need to get this over with so we get back into doing what we love, which
Yes,
is
we
hanging
do.
around people and smoking cigars and drinking.
Yep. Exactly. I don't, and yeah, that's my excuse for drinking. I need to be around people.
So let me. I'm going to take a quick break here. I got to take a little. I got to pay the bills
Pay the bills.
and introduce a couple of sponsors for today's show. Once again, today's show is sponsored by Frontline Cigars. Frontline is always on the front line of flavor, innovation, and giving back to those who serve. As a first responder owned company based in the Chicagoland area, Frontline Cigars strives to give back to those that serve, whether it be first responders or military, through numerous charitable foundations. At frontlinecigars.com, you will find a wide range of cigars from boutique to everyday brands, in addition to a fine selection of cigar accessories and swag. There's always something new to try at frontlinecigars.com, like the Stogie Press Sampler, which consists of 5 90-plus rated cigars on Stogie Press. So follow Frontline Cigars on Instagram and Facebook and check out their site, www.frontlinecigars.com. Today's show is also brought to you by Tarazona Cigars. Tarazona Cigars, they do it with passion. That's their motto, and they live by that. Every cigar that they make is done with passion, from rolling to boxing to sales. Since 2002, they've taken the pride in the quality and craftsmanship of every cigar that goes into every box of Tarazona cigars. At Tarazona, they do it with passion. Check out www.tarazonacigars.com. And I thank my sponsors. Without you, this show will be harder to do. All right. Paid the bills.
Good job.
It's good. Now, what is your mission with this new company? Where are you going to take this? Because they were supposed to do go to the PCA this year, which got canceled.
Correct.
This whole line was going to get launched finally. I imagine you had or were going to have something to do with that.
Correct.
Where are we going with it?
So we were planning on doing all 3 shows this year. He was going to do. It was too early for the TPE, but the PCA he was going to do that and also do the show in Dortmund in Germany and launch there, and then do the big show in Miami. So or what they call it, the Big Smoke.
The Big Smoke, right?
Yep. And all 3 of those got canceled, so we're holding on for next year. But in the meantime, what we're doing is I've kind of got him strategized that we're going to do things a little bit differently. I'm the only guy in the U.S. I do have some help in the West Coast with a friend of mine named Frank Bellavia, who's a broker out there. He's trying to help me. But the great thing about this is I get to pick who my customers are. I only want about 500 stores in the U.S. That's a small portion, but I don't want to get too big where we can't supply the customers that we already have. So we're going to shut it down to about 500 customers. And if you're a retailer and you're interested, call me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. But we've had a lot of success so far in picking up new customers. Hopefully by the end of the year, we just started since August. We should have 60 customers so far by the end of the year.
Okay.
And that's just one person doing that. Okay. It's just me. So I know where the bottleneck is, and it's typically my throat that's on the line. But we'll get bigger, but we're going to do it organically, and we're going to do it the right way and not get too big too quick.
What's the production run that he has on these 6 lines?
I know that at one point, we had 90,000 cigars last year waiting for us. So somewhere in that neck of the woods, about 90. Next year, we'll up it to probably 120, 130,000 cigars. So, which is, it's not a lot, but once again, this is not Bud Light. This is a craft beer. It takes time to make great things.
It takes time to make great things. And does he still grow the tobacco that's used in this, or is he just sourcing it through Guillermo?
So let me tell you what's going to happen. So he's also a tobacco buyer. So we buy a lot of tobacco from across the planet, and we'll source it. A lot of the tobacco that you're smoking now, you're probably going to find some AJ and Aganorsa in there. You might taste a little bit of it as well. But the Brazilian, the Corojo that is in your gift pack, with the red band on it, I believe. But that's truly a really good cigar that I enjoy a lot. That's off our farm in Brazil that nobody else on the planet has but us. And I think it's the Torpedo, I think. But that is a Brazilian Corojo.
I think I smoked that.
Did you smoke it already?
I did.
Did you like it?
Got that review coming out soon.
Excellent. So yeah,
I like the Habano better.
I like the Habano. Habano is one of my favorite. It's just for an everyday smoke, it is perfect. And for $6.80, how can you say no to it? How can you not like it? Buy a box. Crazy if you don't.
It's like you have them around all the time. Let's see how well they age.
It's going to get better. How's the Castaño, by the way?
It's a little bit of a spicy, not as much fruit as I normally get off of San Andreas, but definitely a little more spice on it.
Yep, I can see that. Nicaraguan binder filler on that one. A lot of Estilo Ligero in it, which will give some pop. But one of our claims to fame is that we're using top shelf tobacco. The Connecticut is called the Palomino, and it is U.S. Connecticut at $6.80 as well.
Wow.
Wow.
That.
Exactly. I don't know the economics of this. I don't know how he's affording this. But go out and find me another American Connecticut that starts less than $10. They're not easy to find.
Oh, that's expensive leaf.
Yeah. And there's a lot less of it than there used to be. The fields up there are now turning into housing or apartment complexes. They make a lot more money doing that, and you can't grow in tobacco.
Sure. The grandsons now that own the land are saying, why are we growing tobacco?
Exactly.
We develop it, become millionaires.
Exactly. And not work half as hard.
Exactly.
There's we call it the Negro, which is a Nicaraguan Puro, which is one of my favorite cigars. Castaño, San Andreas, top shelf. There it is. And so also, what you're seeing there is you're seeing every cigar that we sell comes in cello, comes with a barcode, and comes in a cedar sleeve for that price point. And the boxes don't suck either. They're really nice boxes.
Well, the boxes, what's nice about this box, they're not in a cello. They have a nice cutout where all the cigars fit in beautifully, keep from moving around. It's a cedar box. So I'm going to tell you right now, as soon as you smell any of these cigars, you're going to smell cedar. They're wrapped in cedar.
Yep.
Okay. He does it first class all the way.
Correct. So even the rings, by the way, the bands on it, you can cheap out and make cheap cigar bands, but this is the same company that makes the Opus X band. What's it called? Cigar rings out of Holland. They're not cheap. There's nothing cheap about this entire company other than me.
What I like is the extra touch he did in the band. So, when you look at the band, right, there are 2 bands on that. There's the standard band that's on every cigar, and then this band here is the line, whether it be the name of the horse and whether it's Habano, Corojo, whatever. But if you notice, this band, pulled down a little, it's die cut right there, a little divot that fits right there the way it comes in the box. So he took that extra time, special time to make sure that band goes on a certain way. Every band was on these cigars have been applied meticulously, right? They're not one of these you pick up, but it's like, well, it's not exactly even. The lines are not lining up. He did a great job. I mean, everything he's doing is doing with a lot of care and passion.
Correct.
He does.
Correct. And so the more people that see this, the more people are really excited to smoke it. I mean, it's now getting this little buzz about it, and people are starting to call and ask, and I'm picking up customers just simply because they're interested and they've heard something about it. So buzz never hurts in this business.
No, can't be bad when you get buzz. Now,
and I got to think, I don't know if you know the name John Demharter up in Pittsburgh, Ohio area, but John Demharter is probably one of the greatest brokers of all time. He retired 2 years ago. On a lark, I sent John a few cigars. He called me back and said, "What are these?" And I said, "Yeah, they're just this new line I'm representing." He goes, "Damn, they're good." And he said, if I was 10 years younger, I'd take a run at these myself. Well, he's introduced them to some of his cigar clients like Bloom's, the tobacco company, and they've picked them up. So I thank you, John Demharter, for being a great friend and a good brother, and also helping me, because God knows, as I have said many times, whenever they mention Todd Vance, normally they say there's a village missing their idiot and they're pointing at me.
Very good. The company itself was founded 6 years ago, 2014, if I understand correctly.
Correct.
What was he doing for 6 years?
Growing tobacco in Venezuela.
That's it. That was doing the tobacco thing.
Yep.
And these cigars obviously were rolled, what, a year ago?
That's about right. Yep.
Okay.
This is original. Yeah, the original stock.
Okay. And what's the on average the age of the tobacco that are in these cigars?
There's tobacco anywhere from 3 to 10 years in here.
Very nice.
Yeah. There's some really good. There's some Maganorsa in here that's just fantastic. There's some AJ Fernandez in here that's just fantastic.
So you don't know the economics of the business, you said, and everything you're telling me just says, why are these cigars not more expensive? Right?
And that was the reason. He said, I think your market's overpriced, and I can't. Sometimes when retailers get kind of ticked off at me because I can't give them a discount, or I can't give them, a ton of free boxes on top of their order, but it's just simply because we keep the prices what they should be. They're low for a reason, and they're set at that price. And that's a meager earnings for us. But if you can sell enough of them, you can make a nice living. And that's what we're trying to do, is keep the cost down by and Tony's philosophy was, I'm going to give you more than what you paid for. And that's our philosophy, more than what you paid for.
In this post FDA era, and you were around this whole scene when it was getting real nasty.
Oh yeah.
Cigars, as soon as they came out with the deeming regulation and they put the ridiculous $10 price point on cigars, I personally saw a lot of cigars on the shelf that my book probably weren't even worth $10, but they pushed them up to $10 to test the market. Yep. I think that may be where Tony might be coming from, going, we did that because we wanted to see if we can get the exemption. They never gave us an exemption. Now we don't know what's going on. So yeah, I applaud him for putting out cigars that are not ridiculously expensive.
As do I. That's what got my attention with this company. I'm starting to see, the pendulum in the past, 10 years has gone. We used to smoke Robustos and Toros, and then it went to nuts to the 60 ring gauge, and then it went truly nuts to the 70s and 80s. And now we're starting to see that pendulum come back to, basically people are starting once again to find Toros, Robustos, and love them again. And correspondingly, I'm starting to see a reduction in price across the board. A lot of companies. So maybe this is a trend, and if it is, it's a happy trend for me, because I think there's a lot of overpriced cigars in the market.
Oh, it would be great for the consumer. Retailers. The funny thing about retailers is if they could sell a $12 cigar every day, they're making more money.
Absolutely.
All right, then they're going to make on a $6 cigar a lot more money.
Yep. Right? With half the effort.
In one way, the retailer likes an expensive cigar if it sells. On the other hand, the consumer would like to have a super premium quality cigar that is in their wheelhouse in the price point.
Which is, if this is not it, I will buy you a stick of your choice. You know, this is this is a quality cigar, super premium tobacco made at a high end tobacco factory in Nicaragua that knows what they're doing for less than $10. And this is mostly our stuff's in, you know, the $7 to $8 range, maybe $9. But try this stuff. As I keep telling people right now, there are 1,500 manufacturers on the planet right now, if not more. And it's truly, we're in the golden age of cigars. If you don't believe it, you're in the golden age of cigars. And you got to believe that every manufacturer makes at least one good cigar. That's 1,500 great cigars you got to try.
I've tried.
And how many you know? That's a lot. That's a lot to get through.
Trust me, it's taken me 6 years running a site, man, and have like thousands of cigar reviews, and
you haven't even scratched the surface.
And I haven't even scratched the surface, exactly.
So I guess what I'm trying to people is don't get stuck on one brand. I don't want to be, you know, I don't want you to smoke anything all the time, but I would certainly like to be in your rotation.
Absolutely. You know, and I think that's an important point. You know, build up your rotation in the humidor. We're, you know, a lot of us that, especially the ones that are watching these shows, we're like the cigar geeks. All right?
Yes.
You know, we live and breathe cigars. We're the ones that don't smoke a cigar every other day or every third day or only on Saturday when the boys come over and play poker. We're smoking every day.
That's right.
And when you do that, It's nice to have a humidor full of a selection. Try to build it up, okay, as much as you can. And like Todd says, you know, put different things in your rotation and you go in there and you pick something out. And maybe you don't smoke it again for a month. And you reach in, there it is. There's that box. You say, man, and then when you get down to that last one, you're like, it's like that last dram of great scotch.
Yep. And I'm shocked at how much my palate over the years has changed as well. You know, I keep, you know, when I was younger, I liked the super heavy stuff, you know, and now I find myself going back to the medium to still full body. But when it comes, you know, to super full body, man, I'm still a little bit, I still get a little shaky every now and then, but as I get older, I'm picking up more and more flavor in the medium and the Connecticut's.
Yeah. And I think that we talked about that on a show a couple of weeks ago where you get people that go into this really strong cigars. They want lots of Lajero in it. Yep. And they, you know, it gets to the point where you know, the cigar, you can't even finish it. It's so strong. You got to put it down, drink some water, you know, hit the bathroom, whatever it's going to be. And I believe, and I have people that would agree with this, that you sacrifice flavor for strength.
Correct. Yeah, correct. I know it, you know, at Cornelius and Anthony, we had this one cigar called the Mistress. And I remember Courtney gave it to Steve Sacco one night, and he goes, "God, this is beautifully painful." And I'm like, "That's a great term, beautifully painful, but I'm not sure I want to smoke a painful cigar."
That cigar. I remember that cigar. I remember that.
It would set you down.
And
I love the gent.
You completely reverse it because the gent was just a fine, medium-bodied, medium-strength cigar, and you got into that Mistress, and yeah, she's a tough mistress, man, because
she was a dominatrix.
She whipped you hard, right, when you smoked a cigar, and if you weren't ready for that,
it was a beating. Yeah, in a very quick way. I mean, I remember we were doing a show with Coop one time, and we were at La Zona Palooza, and we had a Mistress challenge. I think, were you there for that one? I don't remember. But
I might have been. I was at a couple of them.
We had five guys lined up who were everyday, you know, heavy Espinosa smokers, and we gave them a Mistress. And it was just a Toro. And you know, the first one to finish got a box of Mistress, and I remember it was the preacher, Father Victor. He took it down in 45 minutes.
Father Victor.
And 5 minutes later on live radio, he's puking into a bag. I mean, so.
Oh man, yeah, Lazona Palooza this year. It's virtual.
Virtual, huh?
Yeah, I got my virtual package, so we'll see how that goes. It's going to be interesting.
What's the tabulation for the bro count this year with Eric? How many times do you think you'll say bro?
I haven't seen the posting on that yet, but hundreds of times, hundreds. He's going
I
to say,
do.
bro.
I tell you, I love that entire company from Hector to Jack to to Junior to Eric. They are quality human beings, all of them, and I love them so much.
Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it. And they too, with their passion and what they do for the industry, and they've got some great followers. They don't talk any crap. They just it's
They
about
just deliver. They just keep delivering.
It's about Espinosa brands, Espinosa related brands. Just have fun with it.
His cigar last year, that Laranja with the Brazilian Matafina wrapper, was my cigar of the year. The 2019 cigar of the year for me. Phenomenal cigar.
Like that orangey flavor, do you?
Yeah, I do. I like a little Glenmorangie Scotch too. Little orange citrus flavor.
Yep. Do that or that you got to have it with that beer, right?
Yeah, with the Blue Moon.
No, he actually had one of those.
Oh, that's right.
He had a special beer made at a local brewery down there in. I guess they're in Fort Lauderdale now.
And it did not suck, did it?
No, it's just good.
It did not suck. So I guess, let's bring this around. My job is to give you cigars that don't suck, and hopefully I'm living up to that promise.
Well, so far, what do you ask on that?
That's pretty good.
A little off burn on it. It's that San Andreas leaf. Sometimes you gotta get it right
every now and then.
Gotta get it right to combustion behind it to get that leaf to burn right.
Oh, you still got that Zanio. You've got the broadleaf coming up too. That's an ass kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
All right. So talk to me about the other one. So what is in the? Let me take that one out. I believe that's the Castilian. This one here. Okay, so this is the Zanio.
Zanio is a big workhorse of a horse, and that's a big workhorse of a cigar. That is a U.S. Connecticut broadleaf, thoroughly full body. You got to be ready for it. I would have a steak and a big cup of coffee, and then I would tip that cigar.
So, how much arrows in this?
There's a ton.
Ton of arrows.
Yeah, there's a lot of pop in that cigar.
All right.
And that's the most expensive cigar we make. That one goes up to a Toro, and that's $10.25.
Okay. And then this is the one I reviewed, which is the
Habano.
The Alazan.
The beautiful.
What is an Alazan horse?
I don't know. I wish I knew.
I believe it's a reddish brown horse. It's a brown type horse. From what I read.
I know Tony's told me it took him 6 years to come up with the blends for these 6 cigars.
6 years.
6 years. He wasn't going to release it before they were ready.
Then there's like you said, this is the Palomino.
A beautiful, and that is a medium-bodied Connecticut. It is, in the vein of Rose of Sharon, that type of cigar. It's delicious, delightful. Nicaraguan binder filler, so it's got a little bit of pop to it.
And then there was this one already. This is the Zanio. We talked about the Negro.
We did Nicaraguan Puro, which is if you like Nicaragua, you're gonna love that one.
And the Castaño.
The Castaño is a San Andreas Nicaraguan binder filler.
So you have 2 San Andreases in the lot.
No, just one San Andreas. The Castaño.
That's what I'm smoking. Oh,
yes.
The other box. I've been enjoying them.
Hey, there's room for 2 in that village.
Like I said, I went out. The underground had them, and I do everything I can right now I'm on a mission to keep the lights on.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I'm appreciative of the fact that you purchased them, and I'm appreciative of the fact that you reached out and had me on the show because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where I want to be talking to people about our cigars. So thank you for having me.
So, are there any other hobbies that Tony has besides riding horses and smoking cigars?
I know he's got a new baby, so that's taking up a lot of his time. I think she's probably anywhere between 1 and 2. But he doesn't get out of Venezuela much. I mean, they're locked down. The airports are closed. He can't get out of the country. He would be in Nicaragua 3 or 4 times a year, and he can't even get over there right now. So Venezuela is having some issues.
They've had some issues for quite a while.
They have.
Antonio Barrios is watching us right now.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's a good man.
Oh, so he says the Alizon is a sorrel horse.
Sorrel horse, huh?
Sorrel horse.
So it must be. It's a red color.
Okay, so that's why that cigar has that reddish brown wrapper on it.
Yep.
Beautiful final wrapper. Tyler Garcia chimed in, says, I smoked the Stallone Nicaragua with horse soldier whiskey. It was very good.
Excellent.
So I don't know.
Well, thank you.
The horse shoulder or the cigar, but I guess he's saying both were good. Jeff Walsh asked, what's a good drink to pair with a Stallone cigar?
I have a hard time not pulling out Diplomatico rum with that. I mean, a great Venezuelan rum with a great, with a great Nicaraguan cigar. I love rum. Zaya, Zacapa, Florida Caña, but I do love Diplomatico. And let's not forget our friend mead. We like mead.
We like mead.
We like mead. Mead has turned out to be something I've never expected in my life. I feel like Thor, God of Thunder.
So what else we watching here? So just going through the comments. That's it. Any other questions people have, just chime in, and we'll ask the questions. Antonio Barrios agrees with you. You're gonna smoke a Stallone cigar, pair it with a Venezuelan rum, help the industry out on both ends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now that you've got Tony on the line, there's any questions you might want to ask him, now's a good time. He can probably type that right in.
Absolutely. So Tony's on the line, the owner of Penn. So if you got any questions for Tony, just drop them out there. So how long has Tony been smoking cigars?
That's I would say all of his life, but I'm not I'm not sure what the laws are in Venezuela, but I would assume being raised in a tobacco family, you started pretty soon, pretty early.
I know his grandpa smoked cigars because he talks about it on his site, when he got that horse that he couldn't ride, which is a pretty fun story to read.
I wonder if I grew up in the mountains of North Carolina, which was basically one of the tobacco roads over there, and basically grew up chewing tobacco. And I wonder if Tony grew up chewing tobacco as well.
Guess we'll find out. We'll wait for the comments to come in. So you guys are planning TPE next year?
We are, and we're planning to release a cigar for the TPE only. So we're working on that as well. We're working on now that the FDA has kind of cut us some slack, and my belief is, after seeing what the judge said to them, they didn't say that you couldn't regulate us. They did say that you've regulated us wrong currently, and you've got to go back and get your act together before you can do it. So I believe we've probably got a 5-year window, and before they come back with their shit together. But in those 5 years, you're going to see a whole lot of new cigars come out. I can promise you that. And one that we're going to release is going to be, is one with a Venezuelan burley binder or filler, which nobody else has. So that's coming.
That's interesting.
It is. As Tony has told me, it's an ugly tobacco, but tastes wonderful.
Well, you hide it inside underneath the wrapper.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to do.
See what it looks like.
It'll be covered with something beautiful, but it'll be an ugly tobacco, but a great tasting tobacco on the inside. Kind of like nougat with Milky Way. I'm not crazy about nougat, but you put chocolate on top of it, I'll eat it.
Yeah. So actually, Tony says that he's been smoking cigars since he was 15 years old, and he's 41 now. So there you go. So I've been smoking cigars since I was 18, and I'm going to be 61 next week. So keep on smoking them. My doctor keeps trying to tell me to stop. I said, if I stop, I'll die, doc.
You do remember as well when the FDA came out with the three things that they wanted to basically explore in the cigar market. They had they wanted to know, do kids smoke cigars? What the life expectancy of a cigar smoker is, and thirdly, what was the third one? And getting old sucks.
It
Kids.
does.
What was the third one, Jimmy? Life expectancy. Oh, cancer rate.
Yeah, cancer.
So first they found out that kids don't smoke cigars, which is something we all knew in the first place. So strike one. On average, the cigar smoker lives 2 years longer than someone who does not smoke cigars.
George Burns, baby.
We take the time every day to de-stress. So strike two. Third, and if you go back to they did the same study in the 1960s, and they found someone, and they tested people on who smoked 5 cigars a day, and they found basically the same cancer risk as someone who didn't smoke. So strike three. And so they did it for 2 years, or for they did it for two cigars a day on this recent study, and found that 2 cigars a day is the same cancer risk as someone who does not smoke. So, but yet in their infinite wisdom, the FDA says, "Oh yeah, we're going to go ahead and regulate you anyway." Yeah, that sounded. Yeah, that's not a money grab, is it?
So Tyler Garcia is asking, "Are you going to get out to Kansas?"
I've been to Kansas one time, but I have not been to Kansas City. But there's 2 stores in Wichita that have it. The Humidor, not the Humidor. It's Cigar Chateau has it with Chris, and Gordon has it at Auburn Spirits.
Okay.
But I'm going to get up into Kansas City at some point before the end of the year.
You all are old.
We are old.
I am old, and I'm proud to be old.
I'm right. I don't like the alternative.
Exactly. As you continue working with Tony, do you have your hands in the blending?
I'm going to. Trust me. I feel like I'm not needed because I've got Tony and I've got Guillermo Pena, but there's some fingerprints that I want to leave on some stuff. One for the TPE in particular that I think got coming out is we got some ideas working on it.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be tasting them all before.
Oh, I pray to God I do.
Yeah. Have you done much blending in your past with the other companies?
I've had with a couple, yes. With in regards to Cornelius and Anthony, yeah, there was a lot of things that we blended together that Courtney, myself, Nick Bailey, and Stephen Bailey tested as a committee, and yeah, so we did a lot of blending there. The reason Stephen got into that business was because he loved to play with tobacco, and he loved to play with tobacco.
Right.
So we smoked a lot of stuff.
What's your favorite leaf? From a blending perspective, doesn't have to be a wrapper, but in the cigar.
I tell you, simply because I love Burley. We played with Virginia Burley with Cornelius and Anthony. Hector at Espinosa that blended those cigars for us told us that leaf was magical. And I can't wait to do the same thing with some Venezuelan Burley because I think that it's going to be magical as well. But I love a good Sumatran and a good Cameroon. And they're getting harder. I mean, the Cameroon's getting harder and harder to get. Good Cameroon.
Good, real Cameroon, yeah.
Real good Cameroon, yeah. It's difficult.
Yeah, it's probably as expensive as getting some good Connecticut, if not more.
It is, if not more. And there's, as they say, Boko Haram will cut your head off in a hurry over there. Which makes farming very difficult.
That's just... Can we just all get along and smoke cigars?
Amen, brother. Amen.
I mean, come on. How hard is it? You know?
Yeah.
So there's the point in the show where
Ghost. You got Ghost.
Yeah, Jerry just came and knocked the album down. He says, "Okay, you can't have that album on the show." You know. So, thank you, Jerry. No problem. I'm trying to look like you, brother. There's a point in the show where I move into a little bit of what's new in news and cigar reviews on Stogie Press. So I just want to bring us over into that. So it was a light news week. We'll start at the top. Crown Heads, they announced their Mildias earlier in the year. They came out with another one called the Mildias Mareva, limited edition 2020. This particular one here comes in a 5 1/8 by 42 Vitola. They're only making 1,030 count cabinet style boxes of them. Mildias itself, I've smoked them. I got to review one, but I found it to be one of the better crafts that they've come out with lately.
It is delicious.
This one here is obviously it's an Ecuadorian Habano with a Nicaraguan binder and a multi-country filler of Nicaraguan Peru and Costa Rica. And the price point is set at $8.95 a cigar.
Great price.
So, they're being made at Tabacalera Pichardo in Esteli. So he's been continuing his new relationship with that factory and that group. The other piece of news that came out is La Flor Dominicana. So La Flor Dominicana has teamed up with Hacking Gourmet. Now, for those that might have missed this, this is a fun thing. Hacking Gourmet is a group that's owned by some of the people we love in the industry of past, specifically Fred Rui. So if you remember Fred Rui, he is no longer making cigars, but if you follow him on Facebook, you might have noticed he's been traveling around the country with a little trailer behind his car, and he basically zigzagged around the country. And what he was doing was discovering and trying to find the best meat in this country, best beef and cuts of meat. And they created a company called the Hacking Gourmet. And what they're going to do is they're going to run some shows where they're going to show you some cooking and be smoking some La Flor Dominicana cigars to go with that, pairing it. So this ought to be fun. And the meat purveyor they've selected here is with Meat and Bone. So check it out. The first one is actually was yesterday, and I missed it because what was I doing? No, 2 days ago. I was probably sleeping. I was tired that day. But they kicked it off on the 29th with Two Guys Smoke Shop in New Hampshire. They broadcasted it on Cigar Authority, so you probably go look at Cigar Authority and go rewatch that. I'll probably do the same thing, and that's something cool. So Jonathan Carney, Brian McGee, and Fred Rui are the founders of Hacking Gourmet.
Love them all. And little known fact about Fred Rui is that hell of a pool player. You never want to play that guy for money.
Fred Rui is a great guy.
He is a great guy.
All of these guys are great. This is a trio of characters for sure.
All certified carnivores, all three of them.
Absolutely. The other news that came out was our friends over at Vintage Rockefeller Cigar Group, Kevin Schweitzer and Company. They're coming out with the Art of Magic. And for those that don't know, Kevin himself has been practicing magic since he was 8 years old. And he is a certified member of the Society of American Magicians. So he had spoken to me about this early in the year. We've talked back and forth because he talks to me every day usually about stuff. And he was talking this up, and he wanted to make a cigar about magic to give credence to that. What's important about this cigar isn't that it's just a new cigar coming out of them, but they've moved with Aganorsa to make it. So they're using Aganorsa to craft the blend, and he's also collaborating with Jesse Flores. So remember, Jesse Flores used to be the artist for Drew Estate. He's gone off on his own. He's got a very sick daughter. We've been doing everything in this industry to help him out, to help him get those bills paid for treating his daughter and other cancer-affected children in Nicaragua. So he's got a charity called Fuck Cancer, and part of 5% of all sales of this cigar is going to Fuck Cancer. So kudos to Kevin Schweitzer, and kudos to Aganorsa for chipping in to make that happen. The artwork you see here is Jesse's art. So they're all going to be numbered boxes. Okay, so they're going to be a limited release, but it's all going to be for a good cause. San Andreas wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and filler. And the price point, it's not cheap. It's $20 a cigar, but remember, there's good things going on with that. Amen. So check that out when it hits the market. They should be coming out sometime in January, we're told. So hopefully it'll go good. I've always told Kevin when he goes to the show, he ought to be doing magic tricks in front of people because I've seen him do magic tricks and he's pretty damn good. So looking forward to that blend coming out. And then I think we already talked about this. Nope. Yeah. So we already talked about this one last week, which is the Tobacco Plus Expo format where they're doing the virtual education sessions early. So those are the new news as far as cigar reviews go. So we obviously just reviewed today the the Stallone Alzon Habano. We gave this one a 96, and this I don't take lightly. This is a solid 96 cigar. I'm not saying it just because you're on here. This is a fabulous cigar. As we mentioned, an Ecuadorian Habano with a Brazilian binder and a Nicaraguan filler. They come in two vitolas, a Robusto and a Toro at 680 and 720. You could also get that 6-count sampler pack that I've shown you here for $66. I know the Underground Cigar Lounge has that, so if you go in here, I got the links to where to get it. This is just a beautiful cigar. I mean, it's practically veinless wrapper, covered with this nice cedar sleeve. The introduction to this was just this earthiness and sweetness and a kind of a growing red pepper that I was getting at it right on the aroma side. And then as I puffed it, continued to puff it, I noticed I was getting some salty butter to it. I don't do this lightly because the burn on this was for the most part spectacular, okay? I usually look at waves and jags, and this thing just kept holding strong all the way down with a nice, solid, pristine burn line. And that's just a bonus point in my book. Yep. When we get to there. Flavor-wise, full of flavor, woody and pepper to start with some cedar notes. It has this floral or what we would call Cuban-esque aroma coming off the foot. Get a little cocoa and citrus coming in. Get this light spice with some added nut aroma. The kind of aroma shifts into a nice nut. And then natural sweetness and dark chocolate at the end. I mean, the end, it surprised me because I was getting into it. And I was like, okay, the sweetness kind of taking control and got that spice. And that's what I expect at the bottom of Habano. And then this dark chocolate note came in. And I was just like, God, this is so good. I want another one. So I'm going to have to smoke some more. And yeah, so the only thing we took off on this is that when the ash fell, it got a flat burn cone. I got to be honest with everybody. If that's the point you lose, that's the point you lose. Not a big deal. Buy a box.
That's a harsh East German judge right there.
I have a system, and
it works.
I have to apply that system to everything I review.
I agree.
I'm not gonna, give one something and not give it to the other. So that's how it works. So excellent cigar, great job, guys. Really enjoyed it. The next one is the Mombacho Diplomatico Rum cigar that they introduced at PCA last year. This one we gave an 88, and I'll explain why, but this one here is actually designed specifically, strangely, to smoke with Diplomatico rum. So the idea is don't smoke it alone, smoke it with the Diplomatico rum. But because I'm doing a review, some people don't drink, I have to review this and tell you exactly what this is like without the Diplomatico rum. I have one more. I will smoke that with the Diplomatico rum, and I'll update this accordingly and let you know if my feelings change on it. But it wasn't so much the flavor. There was a harshness on the front end of this, and that did lose a point for that from a flavor perspective. That harshness kind of faded away after about a half an inch into the burn. But the burn is where things started getting wacky. By the way, this is something I don't think I've seen this. If I have, maybe I have, but it just happened to be something I noticed. He didn't lose any points or anything for it, but notice the leaf color right here. It's dark on this side, it's light on this side. So as you roll that cigar, and I kept saying, this is an optical illusion. As you roll the cigar, you can see the dark to light. It just kind of keeps doing that wherever the seam is. And some people go, yeah, they've seen something like that too once in a while. But no points off, didn't detract from anything. It's just an observation. Started off looking really good to burn, started getting a little chunky and wavy over here. Started doing an off burn, which required a touch up. Okay, kind of still was getting myself a little wonky on it. So in the end, we gave it an 88, got a jagged burn, an off burn, needed a touch up, got a harsh start, and there were some soft spots along the barrel when I did the pre-light. So when I do a little squeeze on it, there were some soft spots, which could be part of the reason why it didn't burn right in some spots. So lost point on that. And of course, I would just say, if you want to try it, try one. Let me know what you think. Some people told me they think the numbers should be higher, but I'll let the comments roll in. You know, we also looked at the Drew Estate 2020 BOTL Lancero. So this is one of these brand lines that they came out with a while ago. They've reintroduced it in 2019. It was shelved in 2013. It was actually created by a guy that went down to a safari and had a shop. So we're kind of making them for small batches, but they've gone production on this. This cigar here, Connecticut broadleaf, Ecuadorian Connecticut binder. That's an interesting pick for a binder, I thought.
It sure is.
And Northern Nicaraguan fillers. Price points are very decent, $8.93 for the Corona and $10.26 for the Lancero. I do enjoy my Lanceros, so this is going into the book. Well-constructed cigar, well-packed. Didn't have any major problems. Burn-wise, burned fine for a Lancero. A lot of times you get the ashes fall a little early, but had decent burn cone on it. Picked right back up, burned nicely. Flavor-wise, starts off with some white pepper notes, gets some woody and natural tobacco sweetness, a little bacon spice aroma that was coming off of it. It was burning. This is just this classic Drew Estate cigar where the smoke would just pour off the foot of the cigar. And one thing I have to say about all their ligas, that's what they do, and you could just sit there and watch. If it was trying to off burn, you could just hold it, and it would just find its way all the time. So it's a well-constructed cigar. A good hour and 50 minutes for a Lancero. Again, I tell people, do not smoke Lanceros like you smoke big ring gauges because you won't like them. You have to take your time with them. Did have a little bit of a flat burn cone. The rest of it had a nice straight burn line, had positive experience across multiple samples. I smoked like 4 of these, okay, so far. Definitely buy a box of these. Beautiful cigar. Great job from Drew Estate.
Let me ask you a question, Jimmy. How do you see the PCA playing out this year? 1 month after the TPE.
Yeah, I've talked about that in different shows with some of the brand owners, and I've talked to retailers about it too. It's tricky. I think that TPE did the right thing to move the date because of where we're at right now, waiting for vaccines and all that for the pandemic. But they're mid-May, and then a month and a half later, like you say, you got PCA. I don't know if people are going to go to both of them.
That's what I'm thinking. The same thing.
They're going to pick which one they want, and you're going to see a lot because TPE has expanded its footprint over the years. So now you've got a lot of the same brand owners are going to be at both if they go to both, right?
Yep.
You've got different anchors, obviously. So Drew Estate anchors TPE, and you've got General and those that might anchor the others. We're gonna have to wait and see how that plays out.
And aren't those anchors still out? You know, I still think is Davidoff and Altadis and what else was there? Drew Estates. They're still out of the PCA at this point, correct?
Yeah. Drew Estate's not part of PCA anymore. No, they're pure TPE play right now.
Yep.
So they're a big anchor of TPE. So
I love TPE. It's one of my favorite shows. I think they do a phenomenal job.
The first one I went to was last year, and I'll tell you,
You're blown away, weren't you?
well, it was so easy to navigate.
Yep.
They had these nice little setups with the little kiosks for the small guys. Made it easy. Some of them didn't like that because they had to share the couches, they said. But for the most part, you were able to go around, hit a lot of brands very quickly, and work your way through. And because it's a mixed show between cigars and vape and CBD, if you remember in PCA a few years back, they intermingled. Remember when they intermingled the vape guys with the cigar guys, and you would sit in a booth smoking it, sampling a cigar, and the guy next to you is smoking a strawberry vape, and the whole area is filling up with strawberry, and you couldn't get a good impression of the cigar because you kept smelling strawberry, right? And we all complained about that. But TPE, they did it right. They have it all sectioned off.
They do.
The different colored carpets, the lines. You start walking and suddenly the color goes from blue to green. You're like, oh, blue to red. And you're like, okay, I'm in the other section. Turn around, go this way.
So shout out and congratulations to Dawn Conger, who set all that up with TPE. She does a phenomenal job. And, it's an amazing show. And it's set up so that the manufacturers can make money.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to make money at the PCA as a small brand.
It's super expensive.
Super expensive.
To go into that venture with TPE, they offered all these great deals. They didn't have to pay ridiculous amounts of money to get a piece of furniture moved in.
Yep.
Guys like me, they actually said, media you get in for free. All right.
And they paid for hotels for retailers.
They did. That's right. They paid for the hotels for retailers to bring them in because their game is to give you business.
Correct.
All right. Where PCA, remember, PCA originally was founded on the concept of retailers.
Yep.
Okay. It was a retailer show. And that works, I guess. But if you want to have retailers coming, you got to give them incentives to come to the show. And you got to give incentives to people that are going to display and have business. You got to make money on it. I mean, it's a money-making thing no matter how you look at it.
So I'm going to tell you my theory, and I've told a lot of people this. I break retailers down into two types, basically. There's the 15 percenters and the 85 percenters. And unfortunately, we have a lot of 85 percenters that are, basically somewhat hobbyists. And the 15 percenters, they're the guys that belong to TAA. They're the guys that are on the boards of TAA and TPE and all these and PCA. And those guys, you see at every show. They support it all the time. But the 85% is what we've lost at the PCA. And getting those 85% or 85 percenters back is where we've got to do a better job. And that's what we've lost over the years, and we've got to find a way to get those people back.
And I think I think what's important is if they can at least explain that the money that was spent, and there was a lot of debate about this, but I think that debate is over. We spent a lot of money in a lot of court cases, okay, pushing the envelope, and we kind of got a win out of that.
We
did.
I
said earlier, the fact that go back to the table, FDA, and go figure yourselves out for the next few years, and these guys are going to do their thing. That's a win, if nothing else. That's because we kept pushing court cases, and judges kept hearing arguments, and eventually it gets to the point where, oh, maybe these guys got a point.
That's right.
We got to listen to what the industry is saying. So kudos to them for that. I think it was a good thing. Now, whether retailers recognize that across the board, say, hey, you know what, their dues did help protect the industry. Get out there and protect the group you belong to.
Because in 5 years, you're going to have the same fight over again. 5 to 7 years is my thought.
Yeah, maybe.
So, maybe.
We might have bigger fish to fry in this country than dealing with cigars.
We may be living like Mad Max in 5 years. Who knows?
Please, let's not hope that happens. That would be a very, very bad moment in my life. But I'll be old, so what the heck.
So we're one of the first to go then. You and I.
It's it.
They'll be eating on our femurs.
The truck. I'm going to be the guy with the guitar.
I see it behind you. Flames shooting out of it.
Exactly. Flames.
Wearing a metal helmet.
That's it. That's what I need to have.
I can see that working for you.
Yeah, I could. The hair will be down to my ass crack. But we'll see what happens. This thing gets over with. We'll have a shave party at my lounge. We'll invite some people over. We get the clippers, and they can take all my hair off, and we'll donate it all to the Cancer Society. You know, it's rightfully done. You know. So this was awesome. Let's see if there's anybody else chiming in on some stuff. Luciano Morales, he says, the PCA is the celebration of the cigar industry.
Amen.
Okay, so amen to that, sure. Luciano also says he's tuning just to see you, Boston Jimmie, looking good in this shirt, glasses, long beard, and a nice quarantine look. Guess I pulled it off.
You look healthy.
Hey, you know what? I am married to the greatest cook on the planet.
God bless you, man.
You know, she's not a chef, so she doesn't create, but she can follow a recipe and make me the most amazing food. 90% of which she doesn't eat. She has like some food aversion, so she doesn't eat a lot of what she cooks, but she makes me these amazing.
That's a good woman.
And if you want to see some of the meals she makes for me, she has an Instagram site called Dia Vita, DIAVITA, Vita Bistro on Instagram, and you can see all that she puts up. She puts up the recipes, what the finished dish looks like.
Wow.
And she's starting to get a little interesting following.
Excellent.
Some decent chefs around the country checking out her Instagram, which is
there's a whole lot more foodies than there are cigar smokers.
There are. Now I got to tie the two together.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I just got to bring some of these guys. I need like Guy Fieri on my show.
Exactly. Get him a good cigar. Indoctrinate him.
Good cigar and eat some of my wife's good cooking and show it to him. So this is great. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. I'd love to do it again. If more cigars come out and you smoke some more, don't be afraid to reach out. I'd love to do it again.
There we go. And I'm glad Tony chimed in on this. So he now has a face for the guy that just talked about his cigar. You know, and tell him to go look at my Facebook page, because this is not what I normally look like.
No, it's not. I was shocked when I saw it.
But it's the look right now. My wife says it's a hot mess, and it is. It's okay. I take 20 minutes or more in the shower these days. So excellent. Thank you everybody for joining us. It was a fun hour. Todd, it's a pleasure.
Jimmy, thank you.
I get down to Texas. I'm really hoping to get down there for the NFG 21. I want to go see the new shop. I got a brick in that shop, so I did buy a brick when he first did that. So there is a Boston Jimmie brick somewhere in there.
I saw it, by the way. It's right behind the POS.
If you see it, take a picture and send it to me, because I
will.
It.
I was sitting there reading those bricks, and I saw Boston Jimmie. I'm like, what's he got a brick here for?
Because I support the shop. It's my favorite boutique cigar shop in the whole country. That's why. And Don Wiggins and that crowd are just too crazy not to love them.
They are insane.
Yes,
all of them are insane. Chef, I mean, all of them are just. Yep. It is one of the most fun environments, and now there's room for everybody. So it's a super big inclusive environment now where everyone's chiming in all the time.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, folks. That was great.
Bye, Jimmy. Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining.